Okay, we have a file here that we've brought in a bunch of the lip of gutters and converted them to feature lines. The existing lip of gutter right out of the XREF file, and we've converted those over to feature lines. We've applied these insertion points or these elevation points every 10 feet, and then we've taken this line and we have draped it with this command right here. We've draped it over the existing ground surface. So this line, for the most part, resembles the lip of gutter in the X, Y, and Z directions, and we're going to need that. So let's start up here a ways. Let's start roughly maybe at this intersection right here. Let's say we're going to start at 15 in a pair. So we're going to throw down a corridor. We're going to create a quick corridor here. The alignment we want to follow is center line of esplanade. We want to follow the proposed finished ground center line profile. And we want to do can't remember if it's esplanade or what. Let's take a look at this real quick. We'll want to use the CPS defaults, and for right now we're not going to target any surfaces. And let's just throw that down and see what we get. So we get this all the way down. It has curb, gutter, and sidewalk on it. This is not the corridor that we really want to start with. Let's go back to our corridors or our assemblies and look at the names. So this is esplanade, no sidewalk, and this is esplanade. I'm gonna add some notes to this so it's a little bit easier. This is actually not no sidewalk. This is actually no curb and gutter. Wait a minute. Okay, no CG at all. It's just the lanes. So now that we have that, we don't need to redo this or anything. All we need to do is go click on here, and if we right click and go to look at its properties, and under the parameters we've told it to follow the sidewalk both sides. This is again why it's so important to name your stuff very descriptively. Some of these can have dozens if not hundreds of assemblies, and all kinds of stuff going on. So we're going to change it to here. And now this, to me, looks like a better scenario. I want to also make sure that corridors are rebuilt automatically, so we see our changes here. And so as we come down here, we're just going to do a small section, and I'm just going to reduce this for right now. I'm just going to reduce this corridor to this point right here, and we'll go probably back to one of these returns. And so this return looks farther back than this return, which it is. That's the one we want to shoot for. So this is a very basics of what we're looking at, and so now we want to start on some transitioning. And so what this means is I want to connect the lip of gutter here to this feature line, X, Y, and Z both. So what I can do is I can select here. We can do this in parts. So we're going to edit the targets. We're going to target this section right here. So we'll just click inside of it, select a region to target. And so for the width, we're going to concentrate on the left side. We're going to target that feature line from the drawing. So when I target this feature line, it says name it, yes, that's fine. And we say OK, it's only going to target it in the horizontal direction. It's not going to target it in the vertical direction. So now it shoots out everywhere it can, but as soon as it gets into an existing curb and gutter where there's no feature line to target, it remains unchanged. And you also notice that this comes around here and targets all the way. This will be fixed also. So now we will target, and as you move in here, it says select the region. You see that blue line. You'll select inside here, and then on the left-hand side, we want to select that feature line from the drawing. And we'll select this guy right here, and we'll say, yeah, that's fine. Do your naming command there. Say OK, and OK. And again, that side will shoot out to the width defined by those feature lines. But anywhere that I didn't select this line, it wants to go out here, and we'll do some cleanup through here. But this line, this feature line that I targeted here, is a different line than this line. So again, I select here and I say edit target, and I select the region. It's all one region anyway. And what I also need to do is, and we're going to look on the right hand side, so right lanes, we're going to target a second feature line. And that second feature line is this feature line. And it says, do you want to name it? And yes, we do. So now we have two feature lines that we're targeting, and when it leaves the number 1 and it jumps that intersection, it's going to start targeting that feature line number 2. And let's look at that, what that looks like. So we can kind of see where this is going. We're going to do the same thing on the right hand side here. So, well, it doesn't matter where we select, just inside that region somewhere. And then for the target of the left hand lane, we're going to select it from the drawing. And I want to select this line. It's not critical, but I can actually go down here and I can start selecting all of these lines on the left hand side to target to. It's going to name them, and we'll say OK and OK. And again, it's going to go down the road here, and it's going to target all on the left hand side, target all of the existing lips of gutter that we have along this area. But when it leaves that lip of gutter target, then there's nothing to target, and it snaps back to its original 10-foot width. We're going to do the same thing on the right-hand side, and I'm just showing you this kind of bitwise here. But what you could do is when you do the targeting, let's say we do the right-hand lanes, what we would do is we would just start at the top, and we would just start selecting all of the yellow lines on the right-hand side all the way down to be a much quicker scenario for us. And we name all those, we say OK and OK. And you start seeing how these things are built in 3D with only a flat environment. So now, everywhere where there's an existing curb and gutter, it is shooting out to that existing curb and gutter. We're going to clean up these areas here, the intersections, but this is a perfect example of what's going on here. And when the existing curb and gutter comes in, then so does the corridor. And so that's kind of the starting of our corridor. There are some issues with it. I'll show you, and it always is until we kind of finish it up here. But you can kind of see, it's a little hard to see because I don't have the topo on, but it's riding along that lip of gutter, but only in the X and Y direction, not the Z direction, because we have not targeted that corridor to that to the feature line in the Z direction. So how we would do that, we've basically, from this intersection down to the bottom intersection, we've targeted all the existing ground or the existing lip of gutter lines that we put in there all the way up and down, only in the horizontal direction. Now what we're going to do is we're going to target those in the vertical direction. So I'm going to click this guy here, and the first two are the horizontal direction, the width or offset, and then the slope or elevation targets are here. So let's start with the right lane. We're going to click here, and we're going to select those feature lines. And instead of bitwise like we did before, we're just going to go all the way down and select all of the ones that are being targeted at the moment. Let's try to catch that one. I may have to do that one separately. The line work is the thing that's getting in the way. Let me do this. Let me hit cancel here and cancel here. And what I'll do, this is on top of those 3D lines I need to select. So I'm going to do a draw order. I'm going to send it back. So now when I click here, it selects the feature lines that I need to select. Let's go back up to the top. We'll select this. We'll go edit target in this region. And so the right hand side, we want not profiles but feature lines. Select from the drawing. We want this one. As it comes down here, now it's selecting the feature lines instead of the corridor. We'll select this one. We'll jump this intersection, select that one, and we'll go down to the bottom here where it starts out widening, and we will select this one. We'll say OK, and it selected all those feature lines, and we say OK there, and we say OK here. And so probably this is a good time for right now to run some cross sections and take a look at those cross sections and see what this scenario looks like. So what we'll do is we'll go to sections. We're going to create sample lines. For which alignment, I right-clicked and I said for Esplanade centerline. We want to sample the sources of OG1 corridor. Let's turn these guys off, and I want to get OG1. So when I do that, then I select this guy and I say by range of stations, and we're just going to go from the top to the bottom, and I'm going to say 45 feet on each side because it's a fairly wide road. And we're going to sample every 50 feet. Let's go every 25 feet. It's kind of nicer to see that. I'm going to say OK. It's going to sample the whole thing, and we're going to accept that for right now. You see all these sample lines that have come in. And it looks like, for the most part, they're correct. I'm going to go back through and just erase these. They can be erased. Then once they're erased, they won't sample anymore, and we don't need to sample up here anyway. So I'm going to erase and use the fence command, and wherever it crosses, it will get rid of those. A little easier command. We'll use the fence command again. And again, wherever it crosses, we want to come down to that one intersection. And we'll just get rid of these guys here. Okay, and this last one, we'll call that good. Now, let's put these cross sections in here. We can create multiple view cross sections. We want to do Esplanade. SG3 is fine. We have a default style. We'll say next. We're just going to do a draft scenario here in this drawing. So we'll say next, 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 and create the sections. We're just going to create them over here in open space. See what they look like. There's probably going to be a mess of them, which there are. But we start to see what these look like and kind of what's going on. So as an example, I want to get to a location that is a good example. Most of these are coming. You can see here that it's not pushing out all the way for widthwise, but on the left, the right side here is the left side of the alignment. But on this side, it goes from the centerline profile all the way down, and it connects perfectly with the lip of gutter. And that's what we want to see. An example of it not doing that is going to be like right here, where the roadway, remember the right side has not been targeted vertically yet. So this is kind of what we expect for this side. The one thing I want to do is I want to change all of the cross sections so they will show my cross slope, cross percentage label. And so we can go to the alignment, and this is always under the alignment, under Esplanade. I'm going to widen this guy out so we can kind of see what's going on here and drop this a little bit. So we'll look at the sample line groups. This is a sample line group that we're looking at. And looks like we have two OGs. We probably want to delete one of the OGs. This is in the drawing. This is not that's not a referenced OG through data link. So kind of wanted to get rid of that one. But also I can right click on the word style up here and go to edit here and change all of them at once to OG. So now when we go into here, we do a regen, all the existing, how come that didn't change? Let me go to, let's go look at that. Oh, in section. We're in section. That may just require a regen all. For some reason, it did not change all of them. It changed these down here, and we can kind of see the existing ground. Oh, I know why. Because we didn't select every single one of them. I need to select the first one and go down to the last one. That's why. Edit this, OG1, and now they should all change, which they do. Good. Okay, so now we have our cross sections a little closer, but now we need to look at the corridor 3 cross sections, and again, we're going to select the first one. We're just going to make it easier on ourselves. Select the last one and go to the style and edit the style, and we're going to see, say, default code, CPS default codes. Now we see the typical cross sections. And so this is the important part, because this shows what our cross section is going to be based on the centerline profile that we have. The reason this left side here is 2% is because it's not targeted at the lip yet. And so all the left-hand sides are all going to say 2%. And it looks like I missed one of the cross sections also. right there, the first one. So default style. Okay. So now we've targeted X, Y, and Z, the left side of the road, which is the right side of this, because our alignment is starting at the north and heading down. So now we need to adjust these and bring this roadway up to the lip of gutter. And that's our big task right now. So we'll leave that area. We'll go back to our corridor. We'll select the corridor. We'll say edit targets. We want to select this target here. And now we want to select the left lane targets. And we're going to select all of those from the drawing. And again, the left lane is the easterly side, if you will. And so we will continue on the road down here. And that's it. So when we do that, it goes through, we say OK. It's going to have to work a little bit harder this time, running that corridor. And now we'll go look at those cross sections. Where'd they go? And now anywhere where these are targeting full width on both sides, that one's still at 2. You know what we may need to do? Let me do a regen all. Oop. Now, I wasn't out of the command, I'm sorry. So now that it adjusted, 2.56, 2.19, 2.17, we can see what that roadway now looks like. The right-hand side is 3.5, and the left side is 2.11, so on and so forth. So now we have something to work with, and now we can start making appropriate decisions. You need to really have all three pieces of a roadway to figure out if the roadway is ample or not. So you need to have the alignment, you need to have the profile, and you need to have the cross sections, and they need to show all these components. Otherwise, just looking at a sea of numbers, you will not be able to see where the cross slope is too steep, or whatever the case is. This way you can look at it at a moment's notice. Also, if you find a couple of grades like this that are difficult, maybe they're too steep, you can go in this area of 46.5 in the profile and just grab that profile line and just drag it down by maybe 0.3 or something like that, and then go back and look at this cross section, and you'll notice that it's changed.